Hi there, Pokemon fans. I'm so glad you're joining me today. I'm Doris Fenter of Library Arts, and I'm here to show you how you can have fun drawing a winter-themed Pokemon drawing. I have 5 different characters from the Pokemon series in the picture here to show them playing outside in a fun wintry scene. We'll be using pencil, markers, color pencils or markers if you have, and then for a fun extra effect at the end, if you have a little bit of paint and a nail brush, I'll show you how you can do a winter white splatter to get the creation of snow on top of your work. So I hope you'll join me, and I'll see you soon. Okay, let's get started on our Pokemon themed winter snowball drawing, or snowball fight drawing. So you're going to need a sheet of 8.5 by 11 paper, and you're going to want to have it in a landscape or horizontal orientation. I would suggest having a pencil and eraser to start so that you can erase anything that you're not happy with. And then I would suggest going over the drawing in the neck before we start adding color in the next step with marker. I'm using both a thin marker for little details, so this has an extra fine tip like this. And then I'm going to use a medium point marker, which will make it easier for you to see what I'm doing. That's why I'm going to work in marker, but you might want to work in pencil and then go over it in marker. Afterwards, for coloring, I will be using color pencils, but you can use crayons, markers, whatever you have. So why don't we go ahead and get started now. I have a composition that I've drawn earlier based on the finished drawings. A lot of things going on here. You could certainly change it up, make it a little bit different from this, but I think it's fun because we do have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pokemon characters in the picture, which is really going to make it fun. And we will definitely make sure to incorporate them and talk about them a little bit as we go along. Maybe some of your favorites are here, like Pikachu, but I hope you have fun working on this with me. Okay, so I'm going to put my white paper on top of this, and this will give me an easy way to better see what I'm drawing here. To start with, we're going to draw the Pokemon characters, and then we're going to build the landscape around it, because I find it a lot easier if we do that. So let's start with Gardevoir, and that is the sort of very feminine figure down here in the corner. So we're going to start with her head, and she has a kind of rounded head. So we're going to put kind of a rounded shape on here. Let me just get my marker going, and it comes around to about there. All right, and then you're going to notice that her hair goes around, couple little spikes, spike down, and then it comes down to form the rest of her face and her neck, which is quite narrow, by the way. Now, this is going to come down to the tip of the neck, and then it's going to go up like that. And then you're going to have some lines that sort of just give some definition to this head. So we're just going to put some lines in there. So it looks sort of like a flower. But now we're going to add the eye, and that's going to be a short arch like that, an eye shape, and then right there is the eye, kind of hiding within the picture a little bit. Now you're also going to have a little more hair coming over here like that, and a little line through it. Now because it's a winter picture, I decided to give her kind of a scarf. So right here around the neck, I put a rounded scarf shape. And then I'm just going to have it kind of flowing out like a fun little scarf is blowing a little bit in the wintry weather. And I'm going to put a little tassel-y end on the bottom. like that. And then I put a few lines to kind of make it a stripe. Now you could put polka dots, you could leave it solid, you could do whatever you want. We're just gonna keep it simple. Okay, so now we're gonna draw her body. Now I'm making her arms reaching out to a large snowball because I just think that works better for this. So we're gonna have the first arm's gonna come up like this, reaching out to the snowball, and the other arm is going to be coming up a little hand like that. The snowball is going to come right around here and back to the circle. So it's just like she's putting the snowball on top of a larger snowball, because you can tell right away where we're going with this is that she's going to be building a snowman. So her other arm is going to come out, and we're not going to see the hand portion because it's going to be hidden on the other side. Now next comes her skirt. She has this very pretty flowing skirt, so it's going to come way out there. And then you're going to do a little bit of a curve, like a little arches, all the way back to the other edge of the dress. Come down here and go right to that point. They're almost like little bat wing shapes. Take this line down there, take this one right here, and then just take that one there. And then we just want to give a little indication of this kind of triangle shape she wears right here. And we also just want to show that she's kind of wearing this green, she's like these green arms. And then we're going to have one more line, split the skirt, and just give a little opening right there. Okay. There she is, a little wintry Gardevoir, and we'll make a couple little movement lines to show that she's lifting to put this on top of here. Now next to Gardevoir, we're going to add Togepi, and I'm sure you're going to correct me if I'm saying that wrong. And that's a cute little character who looks like they're coming out of an egg, and that character is going to be sort of helping Gardevoir with the snowman building. But at the same time, I decided that Togepi would be like juggling some snowballs. So let's start with that. We're going to start with the central triangle on the head. We're going to go out and add two other triangles. I like this character. It's not as hard as one might think to draw. Now we're going to add a little triangle shape there, little triangle shape there, and that is the top of the head. So bring the little ear type shapes over just a little, add a little bit of a down shape, and now we're ready to begin the shell. Now the shell is going to be a zigzag across the body, but we're not going to draw the whole shell yet because we want to get the hands in here. So I have decided to put some mittens over the hands, just again to add to kind of the wintry feel. And over here, same thing, I'm putting some little mittens over the hands so that then we can draw the egg shape coming around and up over here. Now we want to have one foot up, and that foot is just sort of bouncing up in the air, so we're going to put it right here, and we're going to put a single line here and a little sort of pad on the bottom of the foot. The other foot is going to be over here, sort of leaping out in an excited way, as if, you know, the Togepi is sort of, you know, jumping and enthusiastic. So we're going to put two little eyes, and the eyes are kind of excited and looking over at what's happening with the snowman. And then we're going to have a little happy, jolly mouth, because again, excitement. And then on top of the shell are some fun little shapes, like a triangle within a triangle, a diamond within a diamond. Notice you'll see me using my skinny shape here because it's easier to get those details in. A little square type shape, another little triangle shape, okay? Then I just decided for fun, I would have this character juggling snowballs because I thought that would be kind of fun. And so we can put some movement lines all around here as they're going through the air. Now there's no ground line yet. We're going to add that after all the characters in. Now next to these two, we're going to add Ninetales, which is a really beautiful looking animal. And we're going to start with the ears. So we're going to put one ear right here. And then we're going to add a second ear right over here. We're going to curve over from the head to, from the ear to make a head. And then we're going to come out to make a nose and a little bit of a mouth. So let's just bring that ear down. And that mouth is smiling. It's having fun watching everything being built. We're going to bring a neck down like that. And we're going to take this part of the neck down, give a little ruff of fur, and curve it back up right there. Let's add a little eye in there. And the eye is very nice. It's a pleasant looking creature looking on. Okay, now let's continue the animal's body coming down like this, adding a little connection to the leg there. We're going to have one leg come down. The other leg is going to come down next to it. But you notice how we stop here? Because right here, we're going to make a tail. And the tail is going to come right back here and stop. Now, we're also going to be adding all these beautiful fur tail type elements by making these curvy, it looks like a foxtail. And then we're just going to echo it here. And then here. And then we're going to go up. And there's a little line in that one. So we'll add that line. And then we're going to go up again. And then we're going to go up again. It's quite a elegant looking animal. And then we're going to go up one more time, but this is going to be lower. And it's going to come in here like that. Then we have this kind of furry ruff that comes out from the head. It goes out and over and out and out and back to the ear. So there is that character. Now I thought it'd be fun if while Gardevoir's building the snowman, maybe Ninetales is holding the head of the snowman. And so the head of the snowman needs a nose, and we're putting that nose sideways, so a sideways triangle, some coal eyes, and a little coal happy mouth. Ready to go on to the snowman. So there we got, already we have 3 of our characters. Now let's come up here and do our Pikachu. Now Pikachu is really cute. He's got these these like sort of like bunny ears that come out. There's a little curve and then another ear comes out. And the ears are always kind of funny because they're kind of pointing in different directions, I find. Sort of makes Pikachu endearing, doesn't it? So then there's a rounded head, goes around like that. And we have two eyes, one, two. We have a tiny little nose and a little happy mouth. And typically two little circles like that. And don't forget the chubby little rosy cheeks. So 1, 2. Now I too decided to give Pikachu a fun scarf that's sort of blowing out here into the wind. So it wraps around his neck, has a little tassel on the end, and that's great. Okay, now we're going to put his hands up in the air because he's going to be interacting with Meowth in a minute. And we're going to put one leg coming up with the foot in front, like that. And then we're going to take the other arm, bring it in, and we're going to curve down, up, and over. And this leg is going to be, this foot, sorry, is going to be right underneath there. Now let's not forget that dramatic tail that he has. It comes out, goes up over here, out there, straight down, in, down, and back here. And it has a little bit of a brown section there, just like you have the black up here on the ears. Now, he's also leaping around because it's a very active picture. And now we have Meowth to draw. So one more character, and then we're going to build the landscape around it. So let's go to Meowth. Now, at any time, if this is going too fast for you, it's a great idea for you to just slow down and stop the video and rewatch any part that you need to. So let's start with Meowth's head. It's sort of a triangular, rounded head like this. But I didn't go all the way around because there's there's first a rounded triangle shape, and then there's two little spiky shapes up here, right? Then that's followed by two ears, two triangle ears with a little triangle inner ear. Over here, we're going to have these sort of like whiskers coming out of the side of the face. So 1, 2. And then the eyes, we're going to make them triangular. And we want him looking a little bit over at Pikachu. So we're going to put the eyes like that with a nice big mouth and two little cat teeth and a little tongue. So the idea is that Meowth is looking over towards Pikachu. Now we're going to put one arm. Well, first we're going to add a scarf again. Here comes the scarf, just like on the other ones. On this one, I decided it would be fun to have some circles, polka dots, just to make it fun. And now we're going to have the arm come right up here near the top of the head with a snowball, because you know what Meowth is about to do. Meowth is about to throw a snowball at Pikachu. And the other arm is coming down and just sort of standing, you know, next to the body, just sort of out there, with a little cat belly. And please note that because we're far away, the cat is smaller and should be smaller, right? Because you want to show distance in your picture. You want to show a feeling of distance. And let's see, what else did I have on the cat? Just a little triangular shape over here. And now we're ready to start adding the landscape lines. Now the landscape lines are really important because they're going to show us how to build the picture. So we're going to start over here, and we're actually going to start with a tree trunk coming up and off the page. And I'm just going to put some bark shapes in there. Then we're going to come out from the tree trunk, come down to where Meowth is, right in here. And guess what? We're going to make a little hill before we get to Pikachu. And then the hill is going to come down here. Now, the reason why I put that hill there, you'll see in a minute, is because I want to give it the impression that maybe there's a little snowman that they're building. Now, on the other side of Pikachu is going to come down, and we're going to add another tree right here. We'll just put some simple tree roots here, and we're going to go up, make some craggy little branches because it's winter and there really wouldn't be any leaves on the branches. So you don't want to put a lot of green leaves if that's not the season for it. Come down here and maybe out here a little bit. And I have moved to my thicker marker now for this part of the drawing. And again, I'm just going to add some bark shapes to indicate a feeling of bark. So you see how we're just beginning to build what this landscape's going to look like. It's going to come down. And guess what? We're going to put one more tree in the landscape coming up. It's going to be bigger because it's closer. So the closer the tree, the bigger it will be. And then once again, little bark shapes like this. Little random bark shapes, some big, some little, some skinny, some not so skinny. Okay, so that's the back line. I also want to show one more snowball, again going through the air. And I'm going to put a pile of snowballs over here for Pikachu to grab from next to the tree. And right here, we're going to put a little snowman. Maybe they built it together. Maybe it was already there. I'm going to put some buttons on it, a little face, and some more snowballs nearby, like that. Now, this is going to come all the way down here and off the page, like a little path. And all the way down here and off the page. Again, like a little path leading up to the snowman. Now, the next thing we're going to do is Meowth is going to want his own pile of snowballs so that he has a fair fight with Pikachu. So we're going to put a bunch of circles over here by Meowth because, you know, he's already in fine form throwing snowballs at Pikachu. So we want to make sure, you know, he's ready to go. In fact, he's sort of jumping up. And going back to my fatter marker, we're going to add another tree coming in from the side over here. Here's the root of the tree. It's going to come up. It's going to have some branches again. So this is in the foreground, so it's going to look a little closer than the ones in the background. And then eventually it's going to go off. And we're just going to put some bark lines there, again, to give it some texture, you know, color variation. And then finally, we're just going to add some simple cloud forms coming across the sky here. And maybe another one over here, like that. and maybe one coming out from the tree here. And let's put a little sun up in the sky. So that pretty much takes care of our drawing. So if you would like to stop the video here, you can now take a marker to trace over your pencil drawing. If you want to add, you know, some fun designs, like look, I'm going to add a little fun design to Pikachu's scarf. I have stripes and polka dots on that one. And you can just sort of have fun adding details. Maybe I want to put a hat on our snowman head so that he'll have a hat when we put it on top of the snowman. And in the next video, we're going to color in our Pokemon characters. Oh, don't forget that one too. So get your picture outlined in black, and I will see you shortly. Okay, so we're ready to start adding color, and why don't we do Gardevoir first? So I'm going to get a light green, and I'm going to use it rather lightly to color in the hair here. And you know, if you want to play around and have fun and use a different color, there's nothing wrong with that. You can actually, you know, make her have pink hair or yellow hair or brown hair, whatever you think. I like to stick with what the characters look like, but you can feel free to mix it up a little bit, make it a little more fun, and not feel worried about that. Now I'm just going to add a little extra green, heavier lines, just like in the original. Color that in, and color this in because that too is part of the hair. Okay, nice. Now the arms are also green, so we're going to give a nice little green color to the arms. We're not going to worry about the scarf right now, but I want to do something bright there. And then this little insert on the dress is also going to have a little bit of green. Color that in with a little bit of green. Now, even though the dress looks very, very white, I'm going to give it a little color by giving it a very pale gray. And then we're going to add a little bit of that red to that triangle shape. So this is just a very pale gray. And we're really going to make the snow very colorful, more so than you think. You think the snow would be white, but we're actually going to add a lot more color in there. And I'm also going to make this gray, but the eye itself has a kind of a reddish pink color. And of course we need that bright red color to color in that little bit of shape. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue that red and make a really bright scarf color. I think I'm going to make it red and blue. As soon as I find the blue that I want, I like this turquoise blue. So I'm going to make it red and blue stripes because I want it to highlight the character a little bit. I don't want the character to fade away so much in the picture. And I think this will draw attention to the character because she is kind of pale in terms of her coloring. And I'm going to put a little red up here too. So that's why I'm using something kind of bright. And there we go. And I think I'll use a little black for the tassels here. But again, you can make the scarf any color you want, any pattern you want, or leave it off altogether if you want. That's okay too. But you see how we use that example to help us? Now let's move on to Ninetales. Now Ninetales is a really pretty cream color. So I have this color actually called cream, and I think that's a good color for Ninetales. I will mix some browns into it too, but for now I'm going to start with the cream. Here's another ear. The body is also cream, but I'm going to use a darker brown just to accent some of the details like in the fur here. So I'm going to take this color. I'm just going to add a little bit on top to sort of emphasize some variation there, and also inside of the ear. Now over here is some more, sort of like a mane, like a horse's mane coming off of Nine Tails. So I'm going to get that in there with just a little bit of color, not too much going in there, because I like the way color pencils can blend and layer. Okay, for the tail, I'm going to put a lot of that cream color. Not sure really what that is, if it's a tail or not. Maybe you think of it as something totally different. Maybe it's just fur, but I like it, and I definitely want it to stand out. Like that. But again, I'm going to use, like, for the tip of the tail, there's some brown here and here. And then I'm just going to use a darker gray to show this part, this inner part that's a little bit darker. Just a little bit of gray, not much. Yeah, showing off a little bit of gray there, here, here, and here. And then maybe a little bit of that brown again, just a little bit here and there. And you can use as much or as little as you want. It's really up to you. But it does give a little bit more dimension. And that is basically Nine Tails. And Nine Tails also has a pink colored eye. So there you go. There's Nine Tails. Now, let's move on to Pikachu. Oh, nope, let's do Togepi. And that is going to be similar to Pikachu, so we're going to keep some of the similar colors out. We're going to definitely start with some nice bright yellow and get that in there. And the feet have a nice bright yellow. Helps those to stand out. Oops. Missed a little bit up here in the head. Go back and fix that. Now, I'm going to do the same pale gray I used on the other character, Gardevoir, because I think that white is not really a true white. It's more like a grayish white. So any shapes with openings, I'm just going to fill those in with the gray in the opening, and then use the brighter color to color in the shape. So I see a really pretty bright red. So I have a nice red here. Actually, I have two reds. I wonder which, this one looks a little closer, so I'll do this one. Okay, so we have a little red diamond shape here, and over here, and over here, followed by a really pretty bright blue here, here, and here. We'll put a little pink in the mouth, and a little bit of this red-brown behind it. And then I really like that red on the shell, so I'm going to give red gloves to again pop out the color like that. And I just noticed I left a couple lines off. There's usually a line here and a line there. So added it on. So now we have 1, 2, 3, of the Pokemon characters colored. Now let's go over to this one and let's do Pikachu. So Pikachu is also a nice bright yellow. And this is good because when we do this background snow scene, we're gonna really want these bright colors standing out, letting the characters stand out against the snow, which I think you're gonna find very interesting when I show you how we're gonna color that in. It's got a yellow ear, a yellow face. Of course, those fun, playful cheeks, which we'll do in a moment. We have a black tips on the ears and here, and actually the eyes are dark with little white shapes. And cherubic red cheeks and a little red mouth. Now, in terms of the tail, we need to make sure we get that colored in nice and bright yellow, but at the base, sort of like on Ninetales, we have another color coming in, a kind of a brown color. We're going to get that brown again, and we're just going to give it a little bit of treatment. So I'm thinking because of all the colors we have in Pikachu, we want to do something fun for the scarf. Maybe bring some greens in there. So maybe what I'll do is I'll do green on this side. It's sort of a nod to Gardevoir. And I think I'll do a little orange on the other side. Again, just bright and playful to make it really stand out nicely. All right, so there's Pikachu. Now we're gonna go on to Meowth. He's a cute one, really cute. Now we're gonna need a light beigey color for Meowth, and I know I have one here. Where did I put it? I was just looking at it a moment ago. Oh, here it is. So we want to choose a nice beige. I could almost put that cream on top, and I might. I'm gonna first put the cream on the tail, on the arms, like this. Even the face is going to be very, very pale. But don't worry, we'll bring the other colors out. And we'll take that little creamy color and we'll add some cream on top of it to make it even more like the real color of Meowth. And let's not forget, we're going to put those brown feet in. So we have some little brown feet. Or tannish feet. We have a little bit of tan on the tail. And then we have some black ears with a little bit of brown inside. We need the tan again here. Put a little brown on it. And a couple little lines. So I'm just going to do that with a color pencil. We have 2 eyes here. We definitely need to brighten up his scarf. So I'm going to make it red, I think, with yellow polka dots. So I'm going to make it red around the polka dots and yellow inside. Maybe you want yours to be purple. I just want something bright to stand out. So here's the yellow polka dots inside the red. So I like that. I think that looks pretty good. Oh, I think I forgot to color these little whiskers. Yeah. There we go. So we have just completed your 4, 5 Pokemon characters. In the next film, we're going to start to tackle the snow and the snowballs, okay? Which I think you'll really like because we're going to do something different that you won't really expect for a snow color. See you in a minute. Okay, so now we're ready to turn our attention to the snowy background. We'll do the trees in the sky afterwards. Now, I'm getting a lot of my interest for the snow from this book, Snowmen at Night, that has some beautiful illustrations for snow. And you might notice all the beautiful blues, purples, pinks, and greens, and even a little bit of yellow. And we're going to use those tones, or that color palette, to actually color in our picture today, using those beautiful colors that you don't always equate with snow. And I'm going to tell you that you'll be amazed how beautiful your snow is going to look by doing that. So we're going to just lightly put down this light blue, because we don't want to be too heavy-handed with this. But we do want to give a light blue feeling to the snow all around our Pokemon characters. So don't always get caught up with the idea that snow needs to look white, because truthfully, depending on what time of day you're looking at it, snow can change color based on the sky, the moon, the sun touching it, and really giving us a really pretty different impression of the snow, far from being basic white. So I'm using a really pretty soft blue to just put the first layer of color down. Then we're going to come back and we're going to build some other colors on top. But we're just going to start with, and since the snowballs are going to be blue too, I'm not going to worry about covering those up, because we definitely want a little blueness in the snowballs. So I'm just going to lightly, as I said, come in here, give the snow a blue effect. And then we will come back and add some details to that blue. And look at already how pretty it looks with the light blue tones around our Pokemon figures. And once we get it all blocked in, you will see how great it looks. Here, around Ninetales, all the way into the corner. And as you get to the edges, by the way, it's a good idea to just get yourself an extra sheet of paper and use it as just a way to go off the paper without getting onto your tabletop, without getting onto your desk. And also consider using the side of the pencil like I'm doing here, because you don't need to use the tip when you're doing big areas. Turn your paper to make it easier to get into different areas. And again, don't worry about going off the paper. That's natural, to be expected, and is a good thing to do. Now we do have this path here, and I think I'm going to make it a little darker, so it kind of makes that path stand out. And it's going to frame in Gardevoir very nicely too, making her stand out more. Remember, she's got that really light gray dress. Well, the blue up next to it is going to make that dress stand out more. So I'm going to go ahead and make it a little bit darker for that reason. I'll get to those snowballs in a minute because we definitely want to add color to the snowman here. But we're going to introduce some more colors beyond the blue here. So let's just get started with this. Come over here, around the snowball. Oh, this is getting worn down, that's for sure. That's all right. I will be able to sharpen that up in a minute. Okay, so that just makes the path stand out a little bit, right? Now, I also want to bring some pretty yellows into our picture so we can have some pretty yellows. And no, it's not like the dog that came by and made the yellow snow. Don't worry about that. We're just adding a little bit of color within the blue. So we're just doing a light layer there. And then we're going to go into our snowballs now. And now, believe it or not, I'm going to start with the light layer of yellow. And then I'm going to bring that blue that we were using before also into the snowballs. So we have one snowball here. We're going to bring a tiny bit of green in there. And really keep it very, very pretty and light and bright. Like this. And I do have to get the snow over here, and I'll do that in a minute. A little bit of green. Notice how I'm using a little scribble technique to color this in. I don't want it to be dark, but I don't want it to be light either. And let's make that snowman's face really stand out on top of Ninetales' tail. You know, I didn't even count to see if I did 9 tails on Ninetales. That would have been funny. I should have probably done that. There. We can also bring out some color in these snowballs that are being juggled. Put a little yellow in there to brighten it up. Of course, you can use some white. And if you want to leave them white, you certainly can. I'm going to add some dark gray to the hat. Darken up the mouth a little bit. And maybe just some regular black to the top of the hat. All right, so we need to get some more snow over here. Remember, I'm just going to go right off the page all the way to the corner. I want to make sure the whole picture is covered. There we go. And again, I can add a little green here. A little green over here. Not a lot. Keeping it very light. I don't want to get too much in there, but I do want to get a little bit. And it's kind of fun to take some blue and to put it underneath your characters to give them a little shadow. Like Ninetales is sitting here, let's give him a little shadow. Let's give a little shadow underneath the foot here, underneath this snowball for the snowman, underneath Gardevoir. Let's make it a little dark where they're walking, standing underneath Pikachu here. A little shadow, not too heavy. Underneath Meowth, just a little extra shadow, blending it outwards. There. And then I'm going to go up here and add just a little bit of color to the snowman that was built up here and the snowballs so that they stand out in a kind of playful way. And these snowballs and these snowballs and the ones sailing through the air, of course. I'm going to go back and add a little blue on there and maybe a bit of that green too, to really make those stand out. Here comes the green. And the green actually gives it a nice little highlight to make them stand out beautifully. So remember, when you're doing this project, feel free to stop the video, go back and re-watch something that you missed. You go, whoa, I didn't see that. I need more time to work on that. That's perfectly okay to do that. Not a problem. And maybe a little bit more on here where the shadow would be. Okay. Now I think we're ready to almost move on to the next step. But I feel like I didn't give Meowth all of his colors, so I'm just going to go in here and do that real quick. But yes, I think we're ready to go on to the trees and the sky. And so you catch up on your picture, you color in your snow, and we'll be back shortly. All right, now is a good time to turn our attention to the trees. And we're definitely going to go with the earth tones on the trees. And then we are going to turn our attention to the sky. So for the trees, I like to use a combination of browns. Like I'll start lightly filling in the tree, maybe with a little bit of a medium brown. And I like to go in and I like to add maybe a darker brown. Because when I look at trees, I don't see them as one color. I might even want to bring in, say, some grays and put in some darker grays, because I definitely see a lot of trees that have a gray tone to the bark. And again, back to some lighter browns. So I like to really make the trees feel interesting and not all of one color. And then these shapes that I'm sort of going around right now, we're going to add a brownish red tone to that in just a moment. Let's just get the basic tree shape, and you don't have to be fussy with this. You just want to fill in the shape, but use a nice layer of colors so you can get some variation in the tree itself, not just brown as a tree. Make it brown, gray, buttery brown, yellow brown. And now I'm going to come in for a little contrast with the nice red bark. Just like that. Now I'm going to do the tree up here. I'm going to do it in a similar way. Maybe make it a little bit lighter, because when things go back farther in the distance, they're not going to be quite as dark and bold. So maybe when I do the browns here, I don't really have the grays in it, and I don't use that heavier brown. I just want to use enough brown to get it blocked in, and then use, a little of the red to bring out. You see how this one's bolder and that one's fading a little bit? Same thing over here. I'm going to fill it in lightly, and I'm even going to go over those round shapes because I know that I'm going to fill them in a minute with the redder color, and I'll go heavier with that. but I can block it in quickly with this mid-tone brown, and then I can go back in and build up with some darker brown, and then mid-tone brown, and then eventually go back in with the reddish brown. So maybe I'll bring in here and there a little bit of the darker tones. Doesn't have to be all over, it can just be wherever you want to add it. So a little bit here, a little down here, maybe a little darker at the roots. Like that, and a little darker up here. Now I'm going to come in with the red, and this is where I can see right on top of the browns, I can bring out the sort of bark shapes. And this is one where I could also go in with the gray, and I could add a few gray tones in the picture. Because again, this is closer to us, so it's going to be darker and bolder than the ones that are farther away. Okay, and so then again, the one that's farther away, we're going to go lighter. We're not going to go quite as dark. We want it to fade into the background just a little bit to show that it's farther away from us. It's not going to be as dark and apparent as the other trees are. So nice and light, block it in. Down here, again, nice. Bringing the darker brown in, but I'm keeping it very light, not too heavy. I don't want to go there. I want to keep it on the lighter side. But I also want to make sure the tree feels like I've taken the time and care to do my best job. Again, go back in with the red, bringing out the bark texture. There, those are nice. And before I go to the next video, I'm just going to find a nice golden yellow to make a nice sun up here. I didn't want to make the same yellow as Pikachu and this character down here. I decided to just kind of make it a golden yellow. Okay, in the next video, we're going to talk about the sky and the clouds, and we'll finish up our drawing. See you in a minute. Okay, so we're back to start finishing up our picture, and I don't want to put the sky in a blue tone because I feel like that will take away from the snow. So I'm going to use a light purple to fill in the sky and just put it down very, very lightly. And if it gets into the clouds a little bit, that's okay. Just trying to give a little bit of a purpley feeling to the picture without it going on too heavy. I also have this other purple tone that's very pretty too, so I'm probably mix a little bit of both. And again, I'm just going to put it down, not worrying too much if it somehow gets into my clouds, because my clouds may have some of that color in it afterwards. Using the side of my pencil to make the colors go down easily. Like this, like this. There. And you want a little bit of a contrast. You don't want to have the sky the same exact color as I said, as your snow. You want a little variety. A little bit of color. I'm probably going to put a little pink in here along with the purple. But I'm keeping it very light intentionally because I don't want to over dramatize the sky. So there we have a nice pretty pink. We're going to go in and add some of this very beautiful blue. So a little bit of blue on top, but not enough to really take away from the pretty purples that we just put down. Just a little bit, very lightly applied, like a layer, right on top. Like this. Very, very lightly. Yeah. Now for the clouds, I think I'm going to get in here with some pink. And a little bit of blue, because then you kind of get a pretty purpley color. I don't want to overdo it. Don't want to overdo it. And maybe a little white. Because white, you can still add white and brighten things up, especially like in a cloud shape. You might want to brighten it up a little bit. So if the clouds are viewable, it's also going to blend the other colors together. So then you're going to end up with, and I can put a little bit of white in these snowman face and other areas, just again to brighten it up and make those really nice details come out. And pretty much there you go. But there is one special thing we're going to add to this. So this is an option, but it's a really fun option. I'm going to show you a little splatter paint effect that we can put over your drawing. That will be in the next video. You're going to need some white paint, a toothbrush or a nail brush, and that's it. You don't need a water cup for paint or anything like that. And we're going to give a little snow splatter over the whole scene, and that will finish up our picture. So I'll see you in a minute. Get your supplies together. Okay, for this last step, you're going to notice that I've put some gloves on my hands, but you don't have to. This is one of the funnest parts of this project. I have here a sheet of foil with a little white paint, just tempera, acrylic. This is just a nail brush that I actually use for paint, so I don't really use it for my nails, but you can use an old toothbrush too. And what you're going to do is just dip your brush or your nail brush into the paint so that you get a little bit of that white paint on the bristles. You want to do it bristle side up and use your hand and pretend you're stroking a dog or a cat's back. And then you're just going to, that's better. Give it a little snow splatter. It's really fun. Not really that messy, although you'll notice that I put some paper towels on my table to protect my work, but it just gives it that fun little wintry feel. Put a little more on Pikachu and Meowth, and it really just sets the mood for a winter scene. And there you go. You have a winter-themed Pokemon fun in the snow picture featuring 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Pokemon characters. I hope you enjoy doing this project with me. If you need more time, of course, you can continue after we're over here. But it was so much fun working with you today, and I hope that I can see you again in the future. So stay well and stay creative. This is Doris Benter of Library Arts. Thank you for joining me today.